Now more than ever, it is critical that the federal government's definition of anti-Semitism is clear and uniform.
This bill basically puts us on a path towards saying that any disagreements with the Netanyahu government's conduct during this conflict is anti-Semitic.
This bill doesn't solve anything. It doesn't do anything to stop the rise of anti-Semitism.
Prominent scholars of anti-Semitism have said the IRHA's definition is the gold standard of defining anti-Semitism.
What's happening on these college campuses, that's not freedom of speech. It is designed to intimidate. It's theft by having classes taken away from people who have paid for them.
That's the House Rules Committee debating the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act yesterday before voting to advance the bill. The full House could vote on it by the end of the week. If this passes, this bill will require the Department of Education to consider the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's working definition of anti-Semitism when enforcing federal anti-discrimination laws. Breaking news overnight, a group of anti-Israel protesters broke into the Hamilton Hall building at Columbia University in New York. Protesters smashed windows. They were seen flying a Palestinian flag in one of the windows. The protesters are still occupying the building right now. Joining me now is Pennsylvania Congressman Dan Meuser, a member of the House Financial Services and Small Business Committees. Congressman, thanks very much for being here this morning. Your reaction to what's taking place at Columbia right now?
Yeah, great to be with you, Maria. Yes, certainly woke up this morning seeing many two-bit vandals, as well as Middle Eastern radicals that are part of this group, as well as those that are paid for and bought and owned by the George Soros groups of Students for Free Palestine. I mean, what we're seeing is a high level of destruction. They want to be called anarchists, but really what they are is they're simply criminals engaged in destruction. You know, there's a big difference between creating change through destruction and creating change through production. This liberalism, this practice of appeasement is all about tearing down, not about building up. It's disgraceful. We need the NYPD to move in, as has been done in other campuses. UCLA has already canceled its graduation, not allowing those of the Jewish faith that they determine by looking at someone. I mean, the worst of racism is taking place at the Columbia campus and others, and not a lot is being done about it.
Well, what should be done at the White House in terms of stopping this anarchy?
Maria, it's awful, okay? Joe Biden is not making, the White House is not sending messages that who was wrong here and who was right. The idea apparently from them is the votes in Michigan are more important than condemning the violence on these campuses, and that's a fact. We know that's what's going on here. And so the messaging is bad, the policy is outrageous, the weak level of support. And Maria, it goes right to the whole practice of appeasement from this administration, right? This social experiment that they're involved in, that the victims are the criminals. And as we see who the criminals are up front and personal here. So the White House is derelict in its duty, as is the House, right? The Democrats. I mean, let's face it, this bill last night came out of rules. All the Democrats voted against it, okay, condemning anti-Semitic commentary and actions on campuses. And they're saying that it's not enough. It was a complete, utter dodge on a very important bill to send a message and put some teeth into defunding federal funding being withdrawn from these schools.
Unbelievable. Well, look, I want to get your take on elsewhere this morning, because President Trump is back on the campaign trail tomorrow. He'll be in Wisconsin and Michigan as his trial resumes today in New York. A new CBS YouGov poll has former President Trump leading President Biden by just 1 point in Pennsylvania. 61% of voters in the Keystone State say they remember the economy is in good shape under President Trump. That number is way up compared to the summer of 2020, when only 32% of Pennsylvania voters rated the economy as good. The poll also finds 47% of the state voters believe Trump's policies will help them financially. Only 21% will say that about Biden's policy, Congressman. I know you've been working a lot on the vote in Pennsylvania. What can you tell us in terms of what you've seen in terms of voter feelings today?
Sure. You know, it's kind of remarkable that Joe Biden's even has 35, 36% favorability in Pennsylvania. I mean, his policies are a complete utter disaster. We've got fentanyl deaths coming straight out of the border. We're now a border state. We got illegals coming in. We've got crime. We've got inflation. We got an assault on Pennsylvania energy. But that's a big reason why Pennsylvania is turning towards President Trump. The other is just President Trump himself. I mean, he's been up in Pennsylvania several times. I spoke at a rally not too long ago where there was literally 42,000 to 45,000 people in attendance. The enthusiasm for Donald Trump is enormous because they know what his record is as a president. Okay, it's a strong national security, and it's a growing economy, and it's drained the swamp. A big opposite of this administration that is doing nothing but growing the size of the government. So it's Biden by remorse, it's enthusiasm for Trump, and we have some great candidates on our ticket statewide. So I'm very confident Pennsylvania is going to be Trump country, if you will, this November. We got to keep working at it.
People are also unnerved by the lawlessness in this country. I mean, we see what's going on today at Columbia University. We see this president forgiving all the student loan debt, even though the Supreme Court said it's unconstitutional. And then you've got rights for squatters, people going into your house, deciding that it's their house. I know you've introduced a bill to combat squatting by illegal immigrants. Tell me more about that.
Well, I appreciate you bringing it up, and I think these rioters at Columbia University are guilty of squatting. They're taking over private property in an unlawful manner. This bill is called the SHIELD Act. It's for safeguarding homes from illegal entry, living, and dwelling. And what it does is, for those that are illegal immigrants, if they break the laws by trespassing on an individual's, a rightful owner's property, and that's proven, they'll be deported. So it's a strong bill that we're getting a lot of Republican support, not so much Democrat support.
All right, Congressman, we'll be watching all of that. Thanks very much for being here this morning.
Appreciate you, Maria. Thanks very much.